Good morning and welcome to our Christmas in July Ornament Extravaganza. I'm your host, Katie Jones, and today we're going to be making a wide variety of Christmas ornaments because I know it's only July, but I know that I personally want to make ornaments, but I always find myself running out of time around the holidays. So while you have a little bit of extra time at home, get started making your ornaments and you won't have to stress about it when the holidays come around. So for our first ornament, we're going to be making a beaded ornament. And this one's super simple, it's easy for kids, and the supplies are some beads. You can use perler beads or pony beads. You will have cookie cutters. I use metal cookie cutters. And then cooking spray, just basic cooking spray. You need an oven. I love to use the toaster oven because it doesn't heat up the house in July as much as the big oven. And then we have a couple basic supplies for all of our ornaments, string or ribbon. For this one, it's easier to use. I just use fishing line, and it goes through nice and easy through your ornament, and you can hang it on your tree once the holidays come around. And we have aluminum foil and a cooking sheet. This one is so simple. So go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees while you get ready and start your ornament. And then you're going to pull off a piece of aluminum foil to cover your sheet. And a couple other basic supplies that we're going to use for everything would be scissors, a pencil, and glue is always handy. Okay, so I cut off my piece of aluminum foil and I put that down. I'm not going to actually bake it today, but just imagine my oven is preheating, getting ready to cook my nice little ornaments. Put aluminum foil down, and then pick your design. My example's right here, and I just made a bow. You can make anything Christmas related, or if it's a child and they prefer like a flamingo or a truck, you know that you can get the cookie cutters in whatever shape you desire nowadays. But for today's example, I'm just going to do a cute little candy cane. So I have my candy cane, and I'm going to take my cooking spray, and I'm going to shake it up, and I'm going to spray this really, really well, because otherwise it will be stuck and you will probably cry. So spray it, get the sides, boom, ready for action. Okay, so I'm also going to use tweezers. That's helpful for pretty much all of these projects. So get out your tweezers. And now you're just going to pick your beads and place them in. So I'm just going to make it Christmas colors. I'm not going to try and make it colored exactly like a candy cane for today's purposes, but you can do that as well. And I'm just going to drop them in initially, but you do want to make sure that they are even across, and you'll see that once I'm done. But you want them to be nice and even across your candy cane, because otherwise they don't really melt as well. I'm just going to randomly put them in there. This is a nice little activity if you need a calm down project for your children as well, because it's very you have to organize. It's very simple, but they will spend a lot of time doing it, and then they will calm down as they go. So I'm just making sure I get them all placed nice and straight. This one's a little harder because it is so skinny. You place them in. Like I said, you can order cookie cutters off of any website nowadays. Shaped however you please. There are also so many other ways to make candy cane ornaments that I'm not showing today. If you have little kids, I'm sure you know you can take pipe cleaners and take red and white, twist them around. It's always super fun and easy if they want to give something to someone for the holidays. Or you can take the regular pony beads and put them on pipe cleaners. I also love if you take real candy canes and a brown pipe cleaner and some googly eyes, and you can make a little reindeer candy cane. That one's super fun as well. All right, we're almost done loading it up. Again, we're trying to get it in all of the little cracks of the candy cane so that it has the same shape once we bake it. Whew, almost there. Definitely gives your oven enough time to heat up. You won't have to wait around. All right, one more and we're good. Okay, so now we are ready to put in the oven. And you've already preheated it. You have it in here and it's ready. So put it in the oven and it kind of varies. So 400 degrees, and it's either going to be between 5 and 10 minutes. It kind of depends on the size of the cookie cutter, the size of the beads, if you use pony beads or the perler beads. But I would recommend staying pretty close to the oven and watching it, because if you cook it too long or too quickly, then it will bubble up and kind of melt. So I would recommend just staying there and watching it. I did watch mine, and you can see it did bubble up a little bit, but I kind of like that because the bow part is raised, and then the tails are a little bit lower, and I think it looks super cute. So watch it and then take it out and let it cool, and then you can just remove your cookie cutter and take a needle or just something to poke it with, put your string through, and it'll be ready to give as a present or to hang on your own Christmas tree. So the next ornament we're going to make is going to be the icicle ornament, and I'm going to go ahead and get my materials ready for that. Okay, so now we're ready to make an icicle ornament, and this one is so fun. I would recommend this for adults or teens. Kids can do it, but they definitely need adult supervision for this one. So your supplies include a plastic bottle. It can literally just be a water bottle that you drank out of. Make sure it's dry, so if it's still wet, either take a paper towel or put some rice in it, shake it up, and it will get all of the water and you'll be ready to use it. And you also need scissors or an X-Acto knife are perfect. You need a marker just to mark the plastic bottle with. You need a little candle. You need a lighter and tweezers and a container for the candle to go in. So I have my supplies and I am ready to go. So I'm going to take my plastic bottle and I'm going to pull the label off. And you can even do this with like a blue bottle, and that would be kind of fun as well. Just going to be a little icicle that's going to go on your tree, or you can hang it really wherever. So I didn't get all of it off, but that's okay, because I'm only going to use part of it. So now I'm going to take, and it might be a little bit loud, but I'm going to cut into it. And just cut the top off so that I just have the bottom part to work with. Great. And then I'm going to cut down the line. And I just want to cut the bottom off so that I can kind of work with it as a flat surface. Okay, perfect. So now I just have a flat surface kind of to work with. And you can mark it. I told you all to gather a marker and a ruler if possible, but if you want to just cut it regularly, it's really fine. You don't have to mark it. So basically you just want, I'll mark mine. I measured it out, but you really don't have to. So I would say maybe a 1/2 inch. It just kind of depends on how big you want to make your icicle, but probably about a 1/2 inch. I just drew a line across, and now I'm going to cut it. Okay, so now we're ready. And now I'm going to taper it off because you want one side to be a little bit wider and then the other end to be narrow, to come to a point, kind of like an icicle. Okay, perfect. So that's cut. I have my big end, and this is actually a little bit bigger than I wanted. So I'm going to cut it, and now it's ready. It doesn't have to be perfect, but because you're going to twist it. So now's the fun part. You have your candle. It's in its container. You have supervision if you are younger. And now we're going to light the candle. Boom. Okay. So we are going to start on the thicker end and go to the skinnier end. And we're going to hold it. And what you're going to do is you're going to melt a little bit and then twist. And you'll see as I go along. Melt a little bit and then twist. I just use my tweezers to kind of help me. And you'll see it kind of start to melt. And I can twist it. And now I can scoop down a little bit and twist it. And I would say hold it a couple inches above the candle. You don't want to get it too close. And you can see it just start to melt. And I would say if you're using different types of bottles, kind of test it out. Your first one will not be perfect. And the thickness is different on all of the bottles. So some of them might melt a little bit faster than others. So hold it a couple inches above. You don't want it to melt too quickly and catch on fire, because that would be very bad. Do that. And I'm pretty happy with that. Again, I would probably make multiple because you're going to get better as you go along. So then it's ready, and I'm just going to take my needle and string. So I'm not going to put the string through it today, but I would use my needle and kind of heat it up a little bit, and then just poke it through the top and melt it or heat it up a little bit more, and then just poke it through the bottle. And you'd be ready to put fishing line or string through. And the icicle is ready to go. Make a bunch, and they look super great together. So our next ornament we're going to make is actually a couple of retro ornaments. So let me get ready for that, and I'll show you how to do them. So I love these simple ornaments. They are retro inspired, maybe like 50s, 60s, 70s. I think they're super cute. And there's a couple different ways you can do them. They're just paper, staples, string. You need some glue for some of them. And they're super quick and super easy. So what you need would be cardstock. You can use different colors. You can make it Christmas themed or not. If you have a colored tree, that might be kind of fun for that. You need a paper cutter or scissors, work well. Staples, stapler, glue, and a marker if you think you need it, or a pencil. Okay, so our first one we're going to make is just going to be a very simple, kind of teardroppy looking ornament. And we need 5 strips for that one. So I actually need to cut a few more strips. And probably make them about a half inch. So just going to line it up and cut it. You don't have to use a paper cutter. I do because that's just my preference, but it's up to you. I'd actually say maybe a little bit thicker than a half inch, but these are going to be perfect. Okay, so I have those all cut and ready to go. I'm going to put my paper cutter to the side, and now I can assemble them. So for this first one, you can see that I have the bar in the middle, and then this one is one length, and this one is one length, but these match. So I'll show you how I accomplish that. I'm going to figure out what colors I'm using. For my example, I'm just going to do the same colors, just to keep it simple. Okay, perfect. And what I did, I just lined them up together, just stacked them how they would be a symbol. Boom. And, okay, so I have them all lined up. And what I did, I'm actually going to cut them all initially because I don't want them to be too big. So that's as tall as it's going to be. And now I'm going to take and kind of layer it. So I want my mint to be one layer, my blue to be one layer, and my middle to be one length. And now I'm going to chop them off. So you can see that there's a little bit of overlap. And I'm just going to cut it, and then it will all be the right length that I need. So just kind of stagger them, chop them, and now it's ready to assemble. So I'm going to take a piece of fishing line for my loop, cut it. I'm going to use my stapler, and I'm going to go ahead and line them up. And you can see they're all different lengths when I line them up. So you want your navy in the middle, or whatever your middle piece is going to be in the middle, of course. And line them up. This is going to be your top, and it's easier to go ahead and insert your string. So pull them together. I just line them up, and I just want my strings in the middle, so I just place them in there. You can also glue them, but if you're trying to get it done quickly or you're working with kids, they might like to staple it instead. And this one's a little bit thin, so it's hard to get it exactly lined up. Then I'll put it in my stapler, staple all the layers together. So now the top is done. And now I'm going to pull in the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in the first one. And basically you just want them to line up at the bottom as well. So line them all up. Might be a little challenging for little kids, but 3rd grade and up can probably handle it. And then you just staple it together at the bottom, and it makes that nice little eye drop looking shape. or teardrop. Okay, so now we're ready to make the next one. And this one is so simple. So you just need 3 strips again. And I like to use a variety. And you need them to be 3 different lengths again. So basically the same thing that we just did. Stagger. Cut the top off. Get your string or fishing line. And line them all up at the top. Get your string ready to go in the middle of the 2. Put that in there. And then pull them around and line them up as well. So you can see how it kind of overlaps. So I'm just going to pull them down. And this is actually a teardrop. I don't know what that other one is called, honestly. But I think it looks fun and fancy. Pretty impressive. Okay, so you want to line your string up in the middle, and you can see how it's staggered. If you want it to be more of a difference between the layers, obviously just cut them so that one is much shorter than the others. So I line them up. I've got my string in there, potentially. And now I'm ready to staple it all together. And it's a little bit of a challenge today. Okay, my string doesn't want to stay. But you can always glue it or take the staple out if it slips out on you. You might even be able to slide it in there. And you'll be ready to go. Or you can always glue it as well. I just wasn't patient enough today. But yes, you can see that it goes together just like that. Okay, so our last retro one is so fun. I love it. So you're going to need 6 of the same shape. And how we're going to accomplish this is I'm going to take and fold this in half. I'm going to fold them all in half. You can make them bigger or smaller. For this, I'm just using what I had left over with my scraps. But it always looks so cool once you're done. So I'm going to fold these all in half. And you can make this in a circular shape, or you can make it in a kind of abnormal kind of shape like I did. I'm just going to cut these so I have 6 different layers that I can work with. And then again, I'm just going to fold them all in half. You won't really be able to tell if the edges are uneven on that because we're going to cut it. So that's not a biggie. I would say this might be better for older kids. As an adult, I thought it was kind of interesting. Once I put it all together, I was not disappointed. So fold them all in half. Make sure you press down the middle really well. Sometimes you can take your scissors and run that along. I just flip it over and use that little edge. Push it down. Because you're going to put them all together once you get them cut. So it's nice to have nice, crisp lines. So push it down. Boom. Okay, so now it's the fun part. I get to make my design. So I've got my pencil. I'm actually going to do it on a light colored one because it'll be easier to see. And I'm just going to make my shape. I might do a circular one today. So I'm just going to make a half circle on here. And I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to cut it. All right. just gonna kind of trim the edges a tiny bit. And we're gonna use this as our template for the other ones. So make sure you're happy with it before you get going, because you have to keep it the same. And who knew circles were so hard? Okay, so that's perfect. And you can either take and line it up and trace it, or you can just hold it and cut it. You just want it to be on that same line. Hold it and cut. Perfect. And if you're comfortable with an X-Acto knife, you can always use that. But for today, I'm just using scissors. I'm just going to keep going. It kind of reminds me of those things that you get for parties where you take and you hold the middle and it fans out and you can set it on the table. But for this, you get to make your own. Okay, so I have 3 done. I have to do 3 more. And I'm just going to cut. Sometimes I like to cut my excess off. Makes it a little bit easier to trim. Doesn't matter where you line it up on the folded half because you're going to cut it off anyway. So that's fine. And now I just have to do my 2 aqua colors. This looks great if you do it with Christmas colors as well. Beautiful. There are a lot of different retro designs that you can do, and people will appreciate those, especially if it's grandparents. It's great for them. Bring back some fun memories. All right, so we're doing our last one, and then we get to put it together, which is the fun part. So to assemble it, I used a glue stick because I wanted to get it done quickly. So I'd recommend doing that if you are working with children. Again, you need a string for the middle. Okay, so I have my string. 1, 2. I have all my pieces. Yes. And I'm ready. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put a little surface down so I don't get glue on my table. And I've got 1 lined up. Put your layer of glue down and line it up. I know that I had a bigger side and a smaller side of my design. So line it up if you have like a dip or something and push it down. And then I'm just going to keep going through the colors. And I want a pattern. You can do it however you want, but I did like the way that that looked once it was completed. I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to go back to my starting color, which was the aqua. Line it up. It's kind of like bookmaking, bookbinding. You just put it together, glue it, let it sit, and then it's wonderful. This project also takes a fair amount of time, so if you have kids and you want them to have an activity to calm down or to take up a little bit of time in their day, this is perfect. Okay, so I've got them all lined up. Now's the fun part. Ooh, ah. Okay, so now it's ready to fan open, but I need to get my string in there. So I'm going to put some glue on one side, get my string ready, put it together, and now I'm going to put my string like right in the middle so that it hangs in the center of the ornament. And do that, and I'm actually going to fold it at like random edges. and kind of just push it all down. Open it up, push it down. Kind of make sure you get all of the little things pushed together. Now you have a little circular ornament. Retro and fun. Okay, so the next one we're going to be making is a seashell snowman. And I'm going to get all my supplies set up for that. So it is July and you might be going to the beach, and I would recommend collecting some seashells and you can make a seashell snowman. Here's my example. I think he is so cute. He's kind of flat and adorable. So you're going to need 3 seashells. Forgive me, I don't know what this is specifically called, but this shape. So you're going to take your big one, put it on the bottom, and you're going to need seashells, hot glue, a string. For my example, I used a piece of twine, and black puffy paint, fabric paint. I used orange acrylic paint, a little baby paintbrush, and scissors. Let's get started. So I take my big seashell and I put it on the bottom, and then I put a nice bit of hot glue on the top so that I can attach it. And then I'm going to stick this on top. And you would think that you would put your string on the back, but when you do that, it gets a little bit too heavy on the front and it'll fall and look sad on your tree. So don't do that. And when you push it down, don't push specifically on this part because it will be very hot and you'll be able to feel the glue underneath. It's not sticking. You want to make sure that your shells fit really well together. Sometimes you don't get it just right. So that one, I'm going to try again. All right, that feels right. Kind of push it down. Don't push too hard because it will crack the shell. Always make sure to pull your little strings of hot glue off. That looks pretty good. And now I can put my little top layer on. And I'm going to actually put my string in between those 2 layers. I'm going to use a different ribbon for this one. Oops. Okay. Fold it together. For this, I'm going to put hot glue. And put that and my shell down. Kind of hold it in place for a second until the glue dries. All right, I'm gonna let it dry for a second. So for this one, probably would have put something down before I got started in case I spilt hot glue. So if you're doing that at home, I do recommend that. Hopefully my string will stick well. So it's still drying. Always pull the little strings off. And if you have a friend that loves the beach, they will be super happy with this. There are a variety of different ornaments that you can make with seashells, so I would recommend looking some up. You can make Santa Claus, or you can paint on a crab shell, all kinds of fabulous things. And it got stuck to the table again. Okay, so that's ready. And I'm going to take my puffy paint. This one is so simple. And I'm just going to make a little smile. So I'm going to put a little dot for both eyes and little dots for the rocks on his mouth. He has a big old smile. He's so happy. And I'm going to shake up my acrylic paint. And for this, you don't need very much. So I literally just take the top and get a little bit on my paintbrush and paint a little carrot nose. And he's pretty ready to go. Oh, he's so happy. So there's your little seashell snowman. Okay, so for our next project, this one might be my favorite. I don't know. He has some competition. I think the last three might be my favorites. And it's going to be a s'more. I love it. It's so fun, especially if you're making it in July. And so I'm going to get my supplies out for that. I hope you're ready for s'more ornament fun. Now we're going to make a s'more ornament. What you're going to need is a piece of cardboard, some brown felt, some cotton balls. They can be the jumbo ones. That's great. Those are your marshmallows. And you're also going to need string, and I put mine together with hot glue. And I used a ruler and scissors and a piece of fishing line and a marker to make it look super cute. What you're going to do is measure your graham crackers first. So you're going to take and measure cardboard out. I think I did like 3 inches by 3 inches. You don't really have to be as specific with it if you don't want to be. I just cut it out. So that's 3. So I need it to be 6 inches. You can really use anything for this that you have, because you're not really going to see the underside. So even if you have a box from your online shopping like I do, then you can use that because you're not really going to see the bottom. Okay, so I have my lines drawn. Now I'm going to cut it out. And it might be nice to use an X-Acto knife, a box cutter, or some bigger scissors for this. I'm just using regular kind of, I would say teen scissors. They're not huge, but they're not kid scissors. It's a little bit of a challenge. Almost got 1 graham cracker cut out. And you know what? If it's not exactly straight, it'll just be one that got a little bit smushed in the box, right? Exactly. All right. Because graham crackers are hard to make exactly perfect once you separate them. All right, cut that. And now I'm going to cut up. You can always trim it if it's not exactly right. Okay, wonderful. Love it. Ready to go. So now I want my chocolate to be a little bit smaller than my graham cracker. And I only need 1 for that. So I'm just going to take, and you can measure it out if you want to. And you can put a lot of chocolate or just a little bit of chocolate. If you've seen my solar cooking, you might think that I love s'mores, which I do. Okay, now I'm ready. Okay, so that's good. Both sides look pretty good, but those look better. And I'm going to make those have little indentions in them, like a real graham cracker. So I'm just going to draw my straight line down. Straight line. And then just alternate little holes. You can use a regular permanent marker, or what is it? This is fine point. and this is ultra fine point. You can use a crayon, color pencil, anything you have. Just gives it a little bit more character. All right, so that's ready. I have my cotton balls, and now I'm ready to go. So I'm going to put it together. Oh, I did put 2 pieces of chocolate. Let me do another one. Why not? We always need more chocolate, right? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to make this my bottom. And I'm going to take hot glue. You could really use Elmer's glue or any kind of craft glue. I liked hot glue because it dries faster. Okay, so I put my hot glue down. I put my chocolate down. I'm going to push it. And I want, maybe I'll do a lot of marshmallows because I made mine kind of big today. Maybe I'll do 4 because that'll give it the thickness that I like. Maybe even 5. Maybe we can get crazy with it because then that'll make it look really thick on the tree. This one might be a little bit too big. Might make it a little bit smaller if I did it as a present. So I'm just going to put a little dot, put my cotton ball, little dot. You don't want to smush them down too much because you want them to still have the fluffiness and look like marshmallow. I think if I was doing it for real, I would make my chocolate bigger too. So my measurements were a little off today, but make your s'more however you please. Okay, so that's great. And now I'm going to take and put my chocolate on the top piece. I'm going to push it down. And have my string already cut. And you can use a needle for this part. You can glue it on. I'm just going to use my needle today. Push it through. All right, it's still a little bit warm, so maybe let it dry a little bit more before you get going. And kind of pull it through. Again, you can always glue it or poke a bigger hole through if you're using bigger string. All right, and then just hold it so it doesn't go all the way through. And now I'm just going to tie it off. You can glue it if you think it's going to be well loved. And if the person has children, I would recommend just gluing it in place. It'll stay together a little bit longer. So I'm just going to give it a little dab of glue. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on all of this, all of the marshmallows. Yum. And now I'm ready to kind of push it down. Just give it a little tap. You don't want to push it too hard. Again, you want it to be nice and fluffy. So that is a huge s'more. It looks delicious. And that is ready to give as a present. Okay, so our next one we're going to make is so fun. It is a melted snowman. I'm going to get my supplies ready. Like I said, this one is so fun. It is a melted snowman ornament. What you're going to need is a hot glue gun, a piece of aluminum foil, black beads. I'm using perler beads again, an orange pipe cleaner, a twig, some scissors, and a needle and string to put it all together. Okay, so what you're also going to need tweezers. That is very important. Make sure you have those. Okay, so you want to get enough beads out to make your eyes. And then however big you want your smile to be, you are going to be putting these into the hot glue. So first of all, you need adult supervision. And then just be prepared to work really quickly. Okay, so I have my black beads ready. I'm just using the orange pipe cleaner as a little baby nose so I can cut it down. This one is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be so fun. It might be perfect in your heart though. And perfection is overrated, honestly. So now we're going to cut our twig to arm length, or you might just be able to break it off. And that's ready. They can be different lengths, they can be the same lengths, whatever your heart desires. Okay, so now, this is the fun part. Make sure you have an extra glue stick on hand because you need a lot of hot glue for this baby. Okay, so now I'm going to get ready and lay it down. I have my tweezers, and I'm just going to put a lot of hot glue, and then I'm going to put my smile and my eyes and put everything in, and then we're going to let it dry. Here we go. And keep going. Okay, perfect. You can use tweezers or you can kind of place it. That's not really where I wanted it, but he's melted, so it's okay. Put him down. And you want to kind of push him in as you go. Put your carrot in. Push those right in there. My carrot's a little bit big, but that's okay. And I'll put my twigs in. And for the twigs, I did take and put a little bit of extra hot glue over the arms, and I kind of let it melt in there so that they stay. And then I would let it dry. Kind of push the pipe cleaner in. This one is hard to get exactly how you envision. So I would recommend just going for it. He's going to be super cute either way. And he's melted, so, you know, nobody looks perfect when they're melted. Okay. So now you just let it dry. Let it sit, I don't know, for like 5 to 10 minutes. Pull all your little strings off. Nobody likes those hot glue strings hanging off of there. It's okay if you don't use all of your beads. It's perfectly fine. So you let it dry, and then we can get our string ready to put through it while we wait. So I'm just going to get a string, chop it off, put it through the needle, and it's probably still a little bit too wet. We'll see. Oh, now I can start peeling it off slowly. I'm going to be very careful with them. And flip them over. Kind of slowly peel them up. He might still be a little bit warm. Definitely a little warm in the middle. I definitely let him cool a little bit more before taking it off. And slow and steady wins the race on this one. Just slowly peel it off. We're almost there. Ooh, I knew I could feel it. Okay. So now he's ready. Kind of flatten him back out. Push him down a little bit. Oh, he's so fun. I love him. Okay. So that's good. And now I'm just going to take my needle and push it through the top. Just be very careful. Oopsie. Get a nice little hole. You can use different things for this, if a toothpick works, or maybe a fork, anything to get a tiny little hole in the top you can put your fishing line through. You can always glue a string to the back, but I was able to make a little hole, and he's so cute. I would definitely let him sit longer. Don't take him off as quickly as I did, but he's so fun. Okay, our last one we're going to do today, you can make a bunch of pieces, but it's going to be Scrabble ornaments. So I'm going to get ready for that. I love to make Scrabble ornaments. Why? Because you can personalize them, you can write a message, you can just make them whatever your heart desires. We have a bunch of Scrabble pieces here because the boards break, but we want to keep the pieces for projects, and this is perfect for that. So you're going to find a Scrabble board. Maybe it's at the Goodwill or any type of thrift store. Maybe it's your kids have grown up and you just don't play with it as much. So get you some Scrabble pieces. I use the thicker popsicle sticks, some glue, just regular tacky glue. You need an X-Acto knife or scissors and string to put these all together. So I'm going to get started. You can make these whatever you want. You can make it your dog's name, you can make it a saying, you can make it say Mary, or if somebody goes to college, they might love something that's a little personalized. So just have fun with it. Choose what you want. And maybe I want it to say, I don't know, something fun. Let's see. This is the fun part. You can just pull it out. Fa, la. I wonder if I can find another L. It'd be fun if we could get requests from the audience. Oh, perfect. Okay, so that's what I'm going to make today. I like the more staggered looking ones sometimes, like the Let It Snow, because you can take and kind of line them up. It's super fun. Or you can take and make like a family name. If you make like the last name the middle, and if you're able to fit the kids and the parents' names in, that's always a nice little present for somebody. But today we're going to say fa la 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 la, and I can even stagger it like that if I want. But I pick those out, and then I'm going to measure my popsicle sticks to go on the back. So for this one, they're super tiny. So I just need a couple. And I'm just going to cut it. For this, I'm just going to cut it. And I love the big like wall signs people are making now that look like Scrabble pieces. They're much larger. But I think that's always something fun. So if you want to make that for somebody for a present, great suggestion. Okay. So I have them all cut. They're ready to go. I'm actually going to flip them over, make sure I keep them in order, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on my back, and I'm going to line it up. And perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same. Just make sure you keep them in order and aligned correctly. All right. Beautiful. So I let mine dry for like probably an hour afterwards before I assembled them. Just depends on how big you're making them. If they're really long, give it more time to just let it sit and set. It'll be ready. So I glued that together. This one was hanging off the edge a little bit, so I'm just going to scoot it over. All right. You can always hot glue it as well. I like the tacky glue because it lays flat. It's a little bit easier to work with, especially if you're doing this with children. But I love this. Okay, so fa la 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 la. Now I can stagger it like that, but for today's purposes, I'm going to do it that way and just show you how I put the back together. If I was doing it like that, I could do that as well. But, because you want to attach all of these together. So you could do it like that, but that would require you to go across. So, or maybe I can just stack them like that. The opportunities are endless with this. I think I'm going to do it like that. I want it to be kind of staggered. That makes me happy. So I'm going to take my stick again and measure it out. Oopsie. Okay. Put a fair amount of glue on that part because it's going to hold everything together. And line it up. Make sure you're getting it right in the center so it doesn't overlap once you flip it over. And then again, let that sit for a couple hours, probably. And then boom, you're ready to go. So then you could just attach a string on the back, either with glue or hot glue. You can tape it, honestly. And super fun. And then I also love to see when people use fake snow on Let It Snow and they make it look like there's snow sitting around. So you can really do whatever you want with it. I hope you enjoyed this program today and you're able to have an ornament extravaganza of your own. I want to encourage you to go and look up other ideas, have fun with it, and get ready for the holidays before they get here so you can enjoy the moment. You can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram, or subscribe to our channel for more programs. I hope you have a great summer. My name is Katie, and have a good day.